morning, folks. Welcome back to Life Hacks for Lasting Love. Thank you for joining us again. Today we're going to talk about interdependency and codependency. When I met Lynn 34 years ago, gosh, that's a long time, probably older than quite a number of the people watching this, I got to say I fell in love the day I met her. It took her a little bit of time, not a lot, to come around, but she got there. When I met her, she was studying to be a nurse. She was doing extraordinarily well. She worked in the burns unit, she worked in the ER, she worked in all sorts of trauma places that you wouldn't believe, that terrified the life out of me just talking about it. She was strong, she was intelligent and beautiful, and these things attracted me to her. When we had kids, she started to become less confident in herself, and I believe it's a fairly normal thing to happen to mothers. They call it mother guilt, they call it something, I don't know. And it turned our relationship from excitement to domesticity. Domestication. She became domesticated, and the only domestic quality I have is I live in a house, and I didn't want a domestic woman. I wanted the challenging, intelligent, fighting, go out there and get it woman that I had.
And I think that happens for a lot of women, especially when we become mums and things like that. It does change us. There's hormones and things. And I see a lot of people at work, and I actually talk about the mother guilt button. And, you know, it seems to be no matter what happens, whether you use disposable nappies or not, whether you breastfeed or not, whether you go to work or not, there's always this guilt associated with all the decisions that we make. And I know for me especially, it did change quite a lot. I love working. I am quite assertive and independent, or I was. But once I had that mother guilt, and you know, the guilt button is there for us to be able to help us become good parents, I suppose, but it's almost like it becomes this huge button that anybody or anything can press. And I certainly did become very codependent on my husband at that time, and it would frustrate him, but it would frustrate me as well. And we'd end up would fight at times, and you know, I became the doormat. And after years of sort of feeling frustrated and saying I want to be working more, I wanted my own dreams, I went back and did my masters when our youngest was 3.
By the way, I didn't domesticate her. She was the one who domesticated herself. When she wanted to go back and study, I encouraged her every point, because I thought it was the best thing she could possibly do for herself.
And that's something Steve's always done. He's invested into my dreams. But I actually had to find me, and I actually had to invest into my dreams. And really one of the things I find is that I hear this conversation between, I'm so worried about being codependent, I need to be independent, I need to be single to find myself. And you know, that is the myth that is out there, and it is a myth, because really what it is it's interdependence. And one day I was actually just I talk with my hands, so you'll get to learn that a lot. And I was talking to a couple, and I actually put my hands together like this, and I started talking about interdependence. So two people become one, and we do need to become one so that we can have a lovely little shelter for our family, for our kids. But we certainly don't want to become codependent, which is where one person's hiding behind the other, which is what I did for a while. And then I actually moved and became independent, and we actually had a lot of fights in that time, and the pendulum swing was just too much. I think you had a nickname for me?
We called her the spear chucker, because she would run a spear through anything that she wasn't overly pleased with. Even minor thing that she wasn't happy with, straight through with the spear. Go on.
I probably didn't need to go quite that far, but it was, you know, I was trying to assert myself again and find myself, because I'd gone to being codependent to then becoming this independent woman, and realized that's not healthy for relationships. And my husband actually did want me in a way that was the assertive, intelligent person that I had been. And so it was learning to understand interdependence, and it's something that we've lost from our language. But if I was just to do it this way, and I'll encourage you, those watching, put your fingers together and lock them in at that first knuckle. See how hard they are to come apart. Hun, you might want to try.
No,
Well-
you make me do this. See?
And
She pushes me
but
around.
if we and interdependence means that there's different areas that we are responsible for our own individuality, and we want it. Okay, I'll use your fingers. So we want, this is our career, this is our spirituality, this is our friendship group, and these are our hobbies. We're not meant to be the same, and people actually often want think, oh, we have to be the same, we have to have the same hobbies, we have to have the same. No, what we need is to actually respect each other, and it actually brings spice to life, because if we're all the same, we flatline, and look how easy it is just to pull apart. But if you then come together and allow healthy time together and healthy time apart, it just creates more fun. So Steve has his own hobbies, I have mine. We have our difference in our spirituality, which we'll talk about at another session, and how we navigate that. We have our different careers. I'm obviously in counselling. Steve's been in the building industry.
One of us likes to talk a lot, the other one just sits here.
But we've learned to be interdependent now, and we certainly, I was frustrated when I was being codependent, and I think you were too, because you just...
And frustrated because you wouldn't stand up and be yourself, frightened of your own shadow. And from there to being the warrior, just killing everything that moved, terrified the life out of me. But we've come back, the pendulum has swung, we've passed the point, and life is good. What's wrong?
We've hit the plumb line.
The plumb line?
Well, you know, if the pendulum swings, I was codependent over here, then I became independent, and I've come back to being interdependent. And that really does help our relationship.
It does. She's right.
Yeah. So guys, invest into your relationships, invest into each other's dreams.
Allow each other a little freedom, spend the time with each other, find the time, make the time to be together.
And allow each person to invest into their own individuality as well, because it actually does add spice to your life.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.